everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So I saw this Instagram graphic, and it had a picture, and on the picture, one side of the picture was 30 slices of chocolate cake.
Yes.
And on the other side of the picture was all kinds of healthy food, a few slices of chocolate cake, pizza, and some junk food.
Okay.
And the one side was supposed to represent what we think we'll eat if we let ourselves eat whatever we want.
If we let ourselves go.
Yes.
Okay.
And the second side of the picture with the healthy food and a little bit of chocolate cake and junk food was what we actually eat.
Okay.
If we take off restrictions from ourselves.
Okay.
And it made me think about how what are you looking at?
There's a heron. No, okay, carry on, carry on. It was quite unusual to see a heron, like a giant bird flying across the skyline. Okay, carry on. I'm with you. I'm all ears.
This is one of those situations where you'll be able to repeat verbatim what I said, even though you weren't listening.
I was listening. Yes, there's a whole bunch of chocolate cake on an Instagram graphic on one side of the picture, and on the other side of the picture is just a whole bunch of food that, without restrictions, this is what we would normally eat. See, I was listening.
I know, but you can always do that, even though you weren't listening.
I was listening. I just was momentarily distracted by a heron. Okay, go on.
So it made me think how it's not just food that we think that we need to control ourselves. That it's, oftentimes we think that we're, having to manage ourselves in all areas of life, whether it be with our communication, with, just if we relax and just let ourselves be, that we're just gonna fall apart and eat 30 slices of chocolate cake every day.
Life is just constant pressure.
And you're more likely to eat all the chocolate cake when you've got that much pressure on you.
Yes. Yeah, because it's like, what the hell? Might as well die young.
No, it's more like I'm eating the chocolate cake to deal with the pressure.
That's true.
But relationships are the same. Like when we pressure ourselves to show up in a certain way because we think we need to do that in order to make the relationship work, it actually doesn't bring out the best in us, and it tends to not bring out the best in the other person either.
Right, so we should just eat it all. Pizza, nutty ice cream, throw in a smattering of nice healthy vegetables, which is basically what a relationship looks like. It's not all fun and games.
That's right.
It's not all nutritious, delectable food. Some of it is not very tasty at all. But in the grand schemes of things, it's actually quite healthy.
Yes, that's good. You ran with that. Yeah, and I think that's also a really good point, is that some people think that relationships should always be as delicious as a hot fudge sundae all the time.
Exactly.
And, it's not always that flavor, but there's lots of... What are you thinking?
I was thinking... Oh, I won't even try and articulate it. I was thinking you were kind of like a hot fudge sundae, weren't I?
What am I now?
It's still a hot fudge sundae. I'm just a bit more aware of all the different ingredients now.
There's a bit of broccoli in the side.
I just had to pull the broccoli out of my teeth.
But everybody's a hot fudge sundae, and we all have our prickly parts and our not so delicious parts, but it's all part of
I would say I was more of a vanilla praline. Yeah, but we have our prickly parts. There's some sharp nuts in there.
I can't even go.
But no, I get the point for sure.
What's the point?
The point is that we have a tendency to want to sort of focus on all the things that we have our standards and expectations of what the ideal partner looks like, and it should look like a hot fudge sundae. But in reality, there is a much bigger picture around that maybe, all the ingredients are not necessarily fulfill our standards and expectations, but it's really not really worth taking into consideration, because the whole picture is actually one of well-being, is actually one of health.
And there's a part two to my point, which is we don't need to spend time trying to make ourselves totally a hot fudge sundae. It's fine that we have the bitter nuts.
So next time we're going out and you're putting your makeup on, I'll say, oh, look, you're doing a hot fudge sundae.
No, because I might want to do that.
Right.
Yeah, but that is like just, it's okay to relax and be yourself, and you're not going to end up eating 30 pieces of chocolate cake every day, probably.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you'll just, you'll follow your own innate wisdom.
And it goes for relationships too.
Yeah. Yeah. We got there in the end.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.